Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting of February 27th, 2025. My name is Vern Crow, and I am the chairperson of the commission. The Planning Commission is a citizen body appointed by the City Council. The commission is empowered to make final decisions on certain matters, with those being appealable to the City Council. On other matters, the commission acts in an advisory role to the council, with the council making the final decision. You will have an opportunity to address the commission during the public hearing portion of the meeting. Your testimony is appreciated and encouraged. The commission acts from a written agenda. You will need to fill out a yellow speaker card and give it to city staff if you wish to speak on an item. Copies of the agenda and the speaker cards are located on the table just inside the main door outside these chambers. At this time, please be sure to silence your cell phones. There are 7 members appointed to the Planning Commission. And at this time, I will ask the commissioners to introduce themselves and state the district they are representing, starting from my far right.
John Crow, Mayoral District.
Tom Cole, Barrel District.
Edwin Nyberg, the Choya District.
John Gears, Ocotillo District.
Vern Crow, Cactus. Let the record show that all planning commissioners are here, with the exception of Commissioner Hooper, who has an excused absence. And let's take just a moment to welcome our new commissioner, Commissioner Ariano. Welcome, sir. The Planning Commission receives staff assistance and guidance from the Planning Division and the City Attorney's Office. Now on to the approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of December 12th, 2024, Planning Commission regular meeting? Thank you, Commissioner Gears. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes on December 12th, 2024, Planning Commission's regular meeting as written. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Perry, are there any withdrawals or continuances this evening?
Good evening, Chairperson Crow and Commissioners. There are none.
Thank you. As there are none, let's move on to the public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to provide interested parties an opportunity to present testimony for the Commissioner's consideration. We will follow the same procedures for each item, and that is, I will call the application number and the name of the applicant. Staff will present their report and answer questions from the commission. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation and answer questions from the commission. Other persons who wish to testify will be asked to do so and answer questions from the commission if there are any. The applicants will have an opportunity for closing comments. Staff will be asked for a final comment on the application and procedural guidance if needed. I will then close the public hearing and ask for a motion prior to further discussion by the commissioners. If you wish to speak on an item, you will need to state your name and address for the record. Please be brief and to the point and avoid repetition. I reserve the right to limit the length of your testimony, and all exhibits that you show the commission tonight will become part of the permanent record and must be submitted for the file. We have 3 public hearing items this evening. Our first agenda item is case number PP22-03. Ms. Castaneda will present the case.
Thank you, Chair. Okay. Good afternoon, Chairperson Crow and Commissioners. I will be presenting preliminary plat application PP 22-03 for Orangewood Meadows 2. Okay. Today's request is for the approval of a preliminary plat to develop a 7-lot residential subdivision that will be known as Orangewood Meadows 2. This property is on the northwest corner of Orangewood Avenue and 43rd Avenue and is located approximately 2.5 miles northeast of City Hall. This property is currently zone R16 PRD. And just as a reminder, this was brought to you back in October for a rezoning case. This was previously zoned commercial office and was approved at City Council for an R16 PRD zoning. This is consistent with the R16 zoning to the north, the west, and there is multifamily residential zoning to the south. This property is abutting City of Phoenix jurisdiction along the east of 43rd Avenue. As you can see in this aerial, this property is currently undeveloped and has remained undeveloped. There is existing single-family residential to the north, the west, and to the east across 43rd Avenue, with multifamily to the south. Sorry. Some of the project details, this property is about 1.5 acres in size. The proposal is to develop 7 lots for single family residential. There is a dedicated recreational area that will be only accessed by the property owners of these lots, and it will be a gated area. The developer, well, the applicant, has met all of the public involvement requirements. Initially, first letters were sent out for the proposal that triggered a neighborhood meeting. There were neighboring property owners that attended the meeting favorable of the proposal. Given comments and review from staff, the applicant reduced the initial proposal of 8 lots to 7 lots in order to increase the area dedicated for recreational area, which triggered a second mailing just as an update to the original mailing list of the individuals that attended the neighborhood meeting and received the letters. During the second mailing, there were no comments received, and that was it. Sorry. This is a conceptual site plan showing what the layout would look like. Tract A to the west would be the recreational area that will be gated, and these are the 7 single-family lots. As you can see, all of them have direct access to Orangewood Avenue to the south, with direct access to 43rd Avenue to the east. Staff has made their analysis on the following findings. The proposal meets the subdivision requirements in regards to creating high-quality residential development, and the intent for medium lot size lots is being met for the residential design and development manual. The site is a viable use for infill, given that the property is undeveloped and has remained undeveloped. It is also an expansion of the existing single-family residential within the neighborhood. There is also direct access to an arterial road, which is providing ease of access to the new residential property owners to surrounding commercial areas, as well as job opportunities and services available within the vicinity. Upon the review, staff has verified that the proposal has met all of the preliminary plat requirements per section 3124 of the city code, and all other departments have reviewed and recommended approval of the application. The request meets the requirements for a preliminary plat approval. Staff's recommendation for the Planning Commission is to approve preliminary plat 2203, subject to the following stipulation. Development shall be in substantial conformance with the Orangewood Meadows 2 narrative dated June 13, 2024, and preliminary plat dated January 31st, 2025. This concludes my presentation. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your presentation, Ms. Castaneda. On the notification list, the addresses that are in Phoenix, that's in the required notification area under the current UDC?
I believe the notification was with the original notification. The original notification was back in 2022 when they originally submitted or did the notification for the preliminary plat. It also included the rezoning and the general plan.
Maybe my question's for Ms. Perry. Was the original notification before we adopted the UDC? Do we remember the date we adopted the UDC?
The UDC was adopted January 12th, 2024. I'd have to double check to see if there's any Phoenix residents that were notified.
Okay, I'll just reserve till we get to the UDC. That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you. I didn't mean to
No.
conflate the issues, but we'll come back to it. Thank you.
Commissioners? Thank you, Castaneda. Thank you. Nice presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, would the applicant or applicant's representative like to come up and add anything? Okay. I have no speaker cards. Are there any members in the audience that would like to speak? Thank you. The public hearing for case number PP 22-03 is now closed. Do I hear a motion? Sure, absolutely.
Commissioner, can I get you to turn on your microphone, please? Thank you.
I pushed it off instead of on. There's an alleyway behind, and at the end on 43rd, there's some kind of a drainage ditch. You gonna pave that? You gonna make a regular entrance?
Let me pull up the site plan. Are you looking at the site plan?
Yeah, look at the site plan from the applicant. You can barely see it in there. I don't know if you can zoom in. But are all of these residents gonna have access to that alley?
I believe it's going to be gated per comments provided from staff. I don't believe there would be public access to
Not
the
public,
alley.
to the owners of the home. Are they gonna have access to that alley? Is that where the trash is picked up? Or is that just a unused alley there?
I don't believe there will be trash pickup in the rear. I'd have to double check the site plan and see what the notes are in regards to that, but I believe that's going to be gated.
I haven't seen anything on it. And then the minimum side clearance is like 5 feet. Is that correct?
Yes, this was approved with the PRD for the rezone.
So has that changed in the last couple of years? 5 foot used to be 7.
With R16, the typical setbacks are 5 on one side and 10, as long as there's a 15-foot clearance in between. As long as there is 15-foot feet and between adjacent buildings. So if one property has a 10-foot setback, we would apply a 5-foot setback as long as there's a 15-foot clearance in between.
And then one other comment. Everybody in the neighborhood is a single-story, smaller houses. Why did the city decide to accept 2-story houses in this particular area?
So the property owner decided to do a PRD so that they can restrict the rear setback to 30 feet because of concerns of privacy. So regardless if there is a 1-story or 2-story home, the minimum rear setback is 30 feet.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioners, anything else? Thank you. Now do I have a motion? Gentlemen? I think we have one coming.
Chair, I motion that we approve PP 22-03, subject to the conditions of the staff report.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Crowe. Who seconded? Commissioner Ariano, thank you, sir. Are there any further comments or discussions? Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve case number PP 22-03, subject to stipulations as outlined by staff. I will now conduct a roll call vote. Commissioner Crowe,
Aye.
Commissioner Cole,
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Gears.
I would like to just make a comment. I am really disappointed that the applicant didn't see fit to show up today and present
Mhm.
his thing. This is a commission. It's taken my time, and the fact that they won't show up is a little disappointing. Evidently, somebody is here.
Good evening, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Wait.
Can you hear me now?
It's a little late.
I believe we have a motion on the floor. It's
Yes,
been
we do.
Moved and supported, and we're voting on the motion.
No,
That's
my
correct.
vote-
Discussions.
My vote is aye. I just wanted to make a comment.
Commissioner Ariano?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Case number PP 22-03 has been recommended for approval, subject to the stipulations as outlined by staff. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair and members of the commission, your action with respect to case number PP 22-03 is final, subject to a written appeal received within 15 days.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. Our next agenda item, CUP 24-08. Ms. Torella will present the case.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. As you'd said, I'm going to be presenting the case for CUP 2408 for Jack in the Box. This is a request for a conditional use permit for a drive-through restaurant in the C2 zoning district. This vicinity map shows the location of the site north of City Hall, approximately 7.5 miles away, at the southeast corner of 67th Avenue and Bell Road. The subject property is highlighted in yellow and is wholly surrounded by an established shopping center, also zone C2, with other C2 zone properties across Bell Road and across 67th Avenue. Here are some of the land uses that I had just mentioned. To the south is the Fry's Shopping Center with the single-family residential beyond that, whose proximity prompted this conditional use permit. There is currently a building on site, which was built in 1993 and is currently vacant. This will be demolished to build a ground-up drive-through Jack in the Box, and the site overall is 0.17 acres. There is an approved queuing memorandum in your packet for a 7-car queue, which does reduce the UDC required minimum of 12 cars. This was reviewed and approved by staff after determining that this queue would be more appropriate for this specific use at this location. The drive-through will operate harmoniously with the shopping center, as the current shared access points and drives will be maintained. This is the conceptual site plan, and I'm going to go over the color coding of the queuing. The cars shown in green show the approved 7-car queue from that queuing memorandum, while the cars in red to the north show what would have been required with the UDC. All public notification requirements were met. Staff did receive one comment during the comment period regarding the potential for increased traffic, and one comment prior to this hearing, which was neither in support nor opposition. This proposal is consistent with the land use and general plan policies, as the site is an independently functioning commercial site in a commercial shopping center along the Bell Road corridor. And as I had stated before, the need for this conditional use permit was prompted as the property is within 500 feet of single-family residential. The end user, Jack in the Box, is proposed to be the only current 24/7 operating business in the shopping center, and the use is not anticipated to be detrimental to the surrounding uses or property owners as such. This site is adequately sized to support this drive-through, as the new building is approximately 1,000 square feet, less than the existing building, to provide space for the drive-through queue. The existing access points and shared drive aisles of the shopping center will be maintained, and to prevent any more potential conflicts from the vehicles that are exiting the queue onto the eastern shared drive, there will be a pavement marking to indicate that these vehicles should stop before exiting, as well as the queue itself extending beyond the building to provide increased visibility for those exiting cars. There are a couple stipulations applied to this application, which I'll review in the next slides. Should Planning Commission approve CUP 2408, it should be subject to the following stipulations. Stipulation 1, development shall be in substantial conformance with the site plan and project narrative, date stamped December 31st, 2024, subject to design review approval by the Development Services Department, Planning Division. And 2, drive-through queuing shall be in substantial conformance with the queuing memorandum, date stamped January 23rd, 2025, subject to design review approval by the Development Services Department, Planning Division. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Commissioners? Thank you. Would the applicant or applicant's representative like to come forward and add anything?
Good evening. My name is Jeff Looker. I am with DXU Architects, 15150 North Hayden, Suite 225. We're the architect and applicant for the project, and I'm available to answer any questions. I think Sydney did a great job on her presentation.
Commissioners, anything for Mr. Loker?
Thank you.
Looks like you're good. I have received no speaker cards. The public hearing for case number CUP 24-08 is now closed. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chair Nyberg.
I would move that we approve CUP 24-08 as recommended.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes, sir.
you got the second. Are there any comments or further discussions? Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve case number CUP 24-08, subject to the stipulations outlined by staff. I will now call a roll call vote. Commissioner Crowe.
Aye.
Commissioner Cole.
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg.
Aye.
Commissioner Gears.
Aye.
Commissioner Ariano.
Aye.
Case number CUP 24-08 has been recommended for approval, subject to stipulations as outlined by staff. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps?
Chair and Commission, your action with respect to case number CUP 24-08 is final, subject to a written appeal received within 15 days.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. Our next agenda item is case number ZTA 24-04. Ms. Torella will be presenting.
As you'd stated, I will be presenting ZTA 2404. This is on behalf of Dwayne Hoskins, our principal planner. This is a request to amend the Unified Development Code for sections regarding procedures and public noticing, as well as adding an additional section for a housing needs assessment in response to Senate Bill 1162. An overview of the revisions include codifying a 180-day limit on zoning applications with exceptions for staff-granted extensions, and applicant-requested extensions, as well as the unique districts which are listed on the slide and in your packet. The housing needs assessment previously referred to will provide housing data on a yearly and 5-year basis. All of the public notification requirements were met, with one comment being received, which was neither in support nor opposition. This ZTA ensures that the city processes applications in a timely and efficient manner, while also preparing a housing needs assessment to better inform development and improvements across the city. As such, staff recommends that Planning Commission forward a recommendation for approval for ZTA 2404 as written. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Commissioners, as you know, we've been through this before. This is to not only update our situation, but to put us in compliance with the state. So does anybody have any questions? Commissioner Cole?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your presentation. So there's an aspect to this relating to zoning that abuts other municipalities and or unincorporated areas of the county that I have questions about. Is the change in the notification procedure part of the Senate bill and the new law?
Chairperson Crowe, Commissioners, our notification requirements meet the intent, so we're not changing the notification aspect of it because we're complying with it.
Okay, I might not be asking my question properly. So in the example of our first case today, we do send notifications directly to addresses in abutting jurisdictions, in abutting municipalities. Is that changing based on this change to the UDC?
Through the chair, it is not, because we do send that notification to abutting jurisdictions.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. I'm just concerned that we were, Mr. Chair, changing a procedure to send those notifications solely to the abutting jurisdictions planning division rather than the individual addresses in the abutting jurisdictions. And as long as those individual notifications are consistent, then I have no concerns, sir. Thank you, Ms. Perry. Thanks for indulgence.
Commissioners, anything else? Okay. There's no speaker cards. Commissioners, any final comments or questions? Okay, the public hearing for case number ZTA 24-04 is now closed. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Cole?
I move that the Planning Commission recommend approval of ZTA 2404 as written.
Support.
Any further comments, commissioners? Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve case number ZTA 24-04 as written. I'll conduct a roll call vote. Commissioner Crowe?
Aye.
Commissioner Cole?
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg?
Aye.
Commissioner Gears?
Aye.
Commissioner Ariano?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Case number ZTA 24-04 has been recommended for approval, subject to the stipulations outlined by staff. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps?
Chair and Commission, your action with respect to case number ZTA 24-04 is not final. Your recommendation will be forwarded to the City Council for further consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. Ms. Perry, is there any other business this evening?
Hold on. Chairperson Crowe, there are none.
Thank you.
My apologies. I'm not quite looking at this correctly. No, I'm correct. Under other business, no, there are none.
Okay, are there any planning staff reports?
Chairperson Crowe and Commissioners, I think I was so excited to get to this part. Yes, there is. As directed by the commission, I believe it was in 2023, the request was for us to provide annual reports. So we did in 2023 provide a spreadsheet of the different projects that came before the commission. This year, for 2024 annual report, we wanted to try to experiment with presenting it a little bit differently to kind of see what actually would be the best approach to provide you, you guys with this information. So during the annual 2024 calendar year, the commission took action on 9 general plan amendments, 13 rezoning requests, made a final action on 7 conditional use permits, and took a recommendation on 1 text amendment, being the accessory dwelling units. And now before you is a brief presentation just to give you an overview of the different type of projects that you took an action on and how the final development looks. Okay. The first several slides is for a project identified as 75th and Glendale Retail Center PAD. And you may remember this is a project that came before you, and there were 6 conditional use I'm having a problem tonight. It was 6 conditional use permits that was presented before you at 1 planning commission meeting. Okay. So the one before you right now is for a Goodwill, another conditional use permit, the overall development within the PAD, another picture of how the development occurred. The Wendy's represents another conditional use permit. And then Black Rock is an additional conditional use permit that Planning Commission approved. Now before you is Shops at 75th PAD. Obviously, the Planning Commission provided a recommendation of approval, with council providing the final approval of the PAD. And within that PAD, there are some convenience uses. And here's how the final development occurred, as well as an additional drive-through. Okay. Tenant spaces. The next one before you is Desert River PAD. This PAD was approved several years ago, but throughout that PAD, there was a lot of developments that occurred, and then the Planning Commission took an action on an amendment to the PAD back in 2022. Some of the final products: multifamily development, multifamily development. You may recall probably about 3 years ago, staff did a presentation on numerous of developments for warehousing that occurred along the 303. Okay. Here's just another most recent development that occurred that is finalized now, another warehouse development. Okay. Before you now is another multifamily development in which Planning Commission took an action on. And this one before you right now is a significant one to the city. It was an action that was taking place on the entitlements back in 2021 for an affordable housing unit with a small scale commercial use facing Glendale Avenue. And this is the commercial space for nonprofit organizations. And then also, here's a conditional use permit that opened in 2024 for the drive-through for Starbucks. Additional multifamily for adult active community. as well as a conditional use permit that Planning Commission approved for a child care and school services facility. Planning Commission, I know that that doesn't really speak of all the work that you have done, but we was hopeful that providing you with that presentation, it would give you an idea of some of the things that you have touched through the community. And I would like to let you know that the feedback that we have received on these projects that we presented before you has been very positive from the community. They're happy to have the additional development, and the aesthetics of the development seems to be acceptable to the community. So thank you again for your dedication and hard work in 2024.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Commissioners, anything for Ms. Perry?
Chair,
Commissioner Crowe.
Ms. Perry, thank you for doing that for us. I really appreciate it.
I have a few comments. Thank you for your presentation. I live close to a lot of these things in the, just off of Glendale, and the development on 75th and Glendale is really good. When Goodwill opened, though, they were nice and clean, and about 2 months later, they're not really maintaining the property. That's the owner that's doing that. The Wendy's is good. The O'Malley's is great. The shopping center on 75th and Bethany, I drove by there the other day, and it was a beautiful shopping center. There were no homeless people hanging around. There's nobody pushing carts. I didn't see any junk, any sort. And the coffee shop was swamped with cars. Nothing but cake's going to be there. Verizon and a taco drive-through. That was an excellent project, and I'd like to thank them for doing it. And then on the other side, we have approved Pete's Fish and Chips years ago, and I haven't seen any progress on some of these other projects. So these companies that did this are excellent companies. The apartments on 67th are almost complete, and it's been less than a year. So they're doing a really good job. Gore Company is a really good company. Thank you.
Commissioners?
Chairperson Crowe, if I may.
Ms. Perry?
I just want to recognize the first annual report for 2023 was done by our intern. This year for the report, it was done by now from intern to a contract employee. And so even though I'm doing the presentation, I want to acknowledge Sharon Larcella, who
Sharon,
actually
where are you
did
at?
all the hard work with writing a
There you
report
go.
and putting the presentation
Thank
together.
you, Sharon. Nice job. Okay, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? Okay, the next regular meeting of the Planning Commission will be held on March 27th at 6 p.m. here at the Civic Center. If there's no further business, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.